My name is Kevitho. I am as of now a businessman, a struggling businessman, fighting it out with a well-entrenched businessman in Nagaland. I was an NPSC aspirant once, and then the book explains it all, how I ended up in business. And the reason I wrote this book is when I was going through my mental illness, when I was suffering, when I was desperate, when I was, struggling, I tried to search for books, especially which could relate to us sufferers, but I did not find any. And even those few books that I came across were out of reach. In fact, it were some were foreign editions, but hardly one or two I came across, and that's when I decided that as I'm in a much better place now. That's when I decided that I should provide materials, reading materials for people to relate to, mental illness sufferers to relate to, that they will find strength, they will find hope, that they can relate to the book, some the chapters they could relate to, and also the book I have endorsed on the doctors a lot, that we should, nothing wrong with going to prayer houses and seeking the help of prayer warriors, but at the end of the day, we should, God has created the physicians, the doctors for a reason, so we should seek medical help. That's, I have endorsed that a lot in my book. So the book is all about that, and why I chose meat grinder and brain, because it was my brain which was suffering. I was not having any physical problems as such, but it was my brain which was suffering, and honestly it was like my brain was going through the meat grinding machine. That I was just my brain was being squashed and torn into pieces, shredded. I felt that way actually. That's why the gist of my book, I brought it out in the name of the book. I just want to say that there is no shame in being mentally ill. Okay, it is just another form of sickness, and you don't have to be ashamed about it. And yes, not many people are open like me, but you can be open in the sense, please seek help immediately. And in Dimapur, during my time there was only one psychiatrist, but there are 2-3 psychiatrists now in Dimapur. So, and also there are plenty of psychologists now also. So I want you to seek medical help immediately. Yeah, that's about it.
I now call up on stage Reverend Vilodi Sakre, Pastor, Town Baptist Church, for the invocation.
We commit this time into your hands, and Lord, may the launch of this book and may this program bring glory and honor to your name. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
And now it is a pleasure that I introduce to you Visher Rita Kocha, owner of Pantry Publication House, for the publisher's note.
Good afternoon, everyone. Imagine having obsessive thoughts, your mind playing the most terrifying things, and every waking second you are battling unwanted thoughts that you just can't get rid out of your head, no matter how hard you try. And you are just compelled to live in that nightmare for the best years of your life. I have known Kevitho for over a decade now. When we first met more than 10 years ago, I would not have imagined or guessed what a tormenting world he was already living in. I would really never have known how he suffered for years together if not for this book, Brain Through the Meat Grinder. It takes immense courage to open up, to talk about your personal struggles, not just with people you know, but in this context, even strangers, because I truly believe that this book will travel the distance and be read by people who don't even know you personally, and your world of intrusive thoughts is out there for others to dwell in. It must be extremely hard to make somebody understand what you are going through, because unless we experience it ourselves, we never really understand how it must be like to live in such a world and in such a state of mind. where all these obsessions and compulsions inside your head is invisible to everyone but yourself. Mental health is one of the most pressing issues that we are currently facing in the healthcare industry. Many people are living with mental health conditions without getting the care that they need or deserve. This is true even for the state of Nagaland. The fulfillment in publishing this book is that it addresses this very important issue, and I reckon it's even more special because it's about the lived experiences of somebody from our own land who knows what it's exactly like to go through something like this. While many of us may see it as a sign of weakness, acknowledging that you have a problem and seeking help is a sign of strength. I just want to say I'm so proud of you, Kevitho. You have come a long way, and as you have also expressed in the book, I hope along with you that it can make the Naga society accept the reality of mental illness. I am sure that it is the beginning of a better world we can all create for all those who have suffered and are suffering from mental illness. I am confident that your book would serve as a reminder to fellow sufferers that they are not alone. Despite it being an isolating illness, there are a lot of people out there who are going through the same thing. And to know that you are not alone is an incredibly powerful feeling. And just as the book has provided me with an insight into what it's like to live with harm OCD, I hope it enlightens each of you present here today as much. With the rise in anxiety, stress, and loneliness, it clearly indicates that more than ever, mental health problems can affect anyone at any time. I think we can start by all supporting each other, by being kind and considerate to one another. After all, as somebody once said, the things that matter most in our lives are not fantastic or grand. They are moments when we touch one another.
Well, the time we have been waiting for is finally here. I now give time to Mr. Kevitho Kera, author of the book, Brain Through the Meat Grinder, to give us more insight about the book. After which, I also request our special guest of the program, Dr. Rosemary Zavisha, to kindly address the gathering.
Good afternoon, everyone. Actually, people who knows me know that I don't have much stage fright. Usually I'm very confident, but since for the past few days I've been so nervous. Till last night I've been saying, I've even updated in my WhatsApp status that I want to dig a hole in the earth and I just want to bury myself and disappear. Yeah. Thank you, V. Masano, for chairing the program. Thank you, Reverend Velody, for the prayer. Thank you, Visual. That was very powerful, the song. Thank you, Dr. Rosemary Zavitsa and Miriam also for coming all the way from Kohima. And thank you, everyone. First of all, again, something which my family dreads. I am a very emotional person. I get, even though I'm supposed to be that stereotypical stuff, man, but I get very emotional. But today I promised, I told my mom that I won't get emotional. Last time I spoke on my sister's wedding and I was a total emotional wreck. I was a mess. But why I'm saying this is this book, it means it holds so much to me. It holds a lot of significance in my life. Like Rita said, a better part of my life I have struggled with mental illness. And it is just I would say, a schoolboy account of my mental illness journey. And honestly, when I first sent it to, I'm being very honest, when I first sent the manuscript to Rita, I thought she wouldn't like it. And till now, to be honest, I find nothing great about what I wrote. But thank you, Rita, for liking what I wrote and for making the book a reality. And thank you, the Pension Publication team also, everyone out there. Thank you so much for making the book a reality. For starters, it is just a small and thin book. I was telling my friend that I will just call it a booklet, not a proper book also. Yeah, but let me just tell every one of you that there's not much creativity. In fact, no creativity involved in the book. It is as it is about my mental illness journey. That's all, and I do not want to add anything more else to it, nor do I want to edit anything else out of it. It is just as it is, and it is not an attempt to bring out something deeply moving or something scholarly. Also, it is. Let me repeat again. It is just a schoolboy account of my mental illness journey, and let me continue saying that. That I don't, as I wrote this book, I had no dreams of making it to become a bestseller, or to make money out of it, or today even as you buy it and you go back and read, I do not want to be patted on the back saying, "Hey, great job, you wrote well." That is not my intention. I hope you got what I'm trying to say. What I want to do is, my only intention from this book is that I did my part. I did my part in representing all those mental illness sufferers in Nagaland. I did my part in bringing awareness about mental illness. That I did my part in creating a more loving environment for mental illness sufferers. That is my only intention. That I did my small part. Otherwise, like I said, no other big dreams with this book, and I hope, I believe that with God by my side, that this will bring some changes in our society. That it will create awareness, it will create a more loving environment for mental illness sufferers. And I would be happiest if the readers go back home and read about it and get to know about us. I'm talking about us in not in a sense that we are aliens or anything like that, but about us sufferers, that you will be able to understand about us, that you will be able to love us more, that you will be able to empathize us. And I have paid special focus in this book on empathy. That empathy is the strongest weapon when you are trying to help a mental illness sufferer. Empathy. Just remember the word empathy. We do not want sympathy also. We just want empathy, and empathy is the strongest weapon because it will open doors for more doors to help us. And I'm not as eloquent as Rita or Pastor Willoughby or Madam Rosemary, but try to bear with me. I'm struggling to put my thoughts. And I take this opportunity to thank my family for being there at my lowest. I'm so lucky, in fact. Family played a very important role in my recovery. And I want to thank my mom, my sisters out there, and my late dad also. I was so lucky because as soon as I started showing signs, my family immediately understood and identified and understood that mental health, that I had mental illness and it had to be dealt with patients, care, and all those. And I really want to thank my family for that. And all of you sitting here today, I really want to thank you for making time out and coming and being here for me and for my family. And the gesture that you have shown, we deeply appreciate it, and the gesture you have shown, it will not be forgotten. And let me just read out some few lines. Allow me to read out some few lines from my book, some excerpts. It's from chapter 7, Hallucinations. Let me just read out some few lines. Page 30. It was then I started hallucinating. I imagined that RSS people were gathering in front of our house, baying for my blood. I started imagining helicopters hovering above our house with commandos in black outfits rappelling down to capture me. I remember standing on a balcony seeing commandos in the bushes with sniper rifles aimed at me, and I thought they are going to pull the trigger anytime soon. That was, how bad I hallucinated. Just a small portion of it. Then chapter 8, suicidal attempt. I hope I don't get emotional with this because this is very personal to me. Yeah. I clearly remember the first incident. This is chapter 8, suicidal attempts, page 32. I clearly remember the first incident. It happened on the morning. My mind seemed to have stopped working. I was blank inside my head with just that one thought. I would take my life that day. I waited for mom and dad to finish their lunch and head to their respective places. As I closed the gate, I smiled feebly after them. Goodbye, mom and dad, I thought. I headed to my room and closed the door behind me. I took out the long lace from my favorite boots and proceeded towards the window ventilation. I tied the lace into a knot around my neck and tied the other end to the ventilation. I thought, this is it. Yeah. And then there is chapter 11 summary. Just some short sentence. I hope it is a little humorous to all of you. Also, for God's sake, do not try exorcising us. Trust me, there are no demons in us. We are just mentally ill and not demon possessed. So with that, I would like to end my short address. And I want to once again thank you everyone. May God bless all of you.
Your book, which I think is going to be excitedly read by many young people, but I'm hoping as a parent and as a mother that it will also be a very important guide for parents who read this particular book. We all must remember that the best things in literature, whether it's poetry, drama, fiction, the most powerful things came out of angst, came out of suffering, came out of emotions, deeply controlled. And when you look at this particular book, because I've gone through it, it is a book about the experience of a young man. And as I read it, I thought it's so reflective of Naga society. So Kevitho, it's not a story about you alone, but I think it's a story about so many of us, and particularly we Nagas. We're just probably the second, third generation educated Nagas. So it is a story about many of us whose parents literally forced us, to do this, to study science and not arts. Arts is bad. When you finish your HSLC, they push you into the science section even if you don't want to. And I had the same experience because when I finished my high school and I got admitted into an arts college in Shillong, I found out that my father had actually already admitted me in Science College Kohima because he wanted me to be a doctor. And he called me and said, if you want to, you can come back because we already got a seat for you. And I said, nothing doing. I love the arts, I love literature, and that's where I'm going. I don't want to be a doctor, And you can imagine the disappointment that was there within the whole family. And I think it's the same story with so many Naga families. And as I read his book, I realized that this actually is a book for many of us parents to read and understand the emotions and the dreams of our children. And actually parents should not be living their dreams through their children, really, but it should be children who should be realizing their own dreams. And I think this is something we all need to recognize through the reading of this book. Mental illness for the Naga society is not a new issue. It has been there for generations. We know through generations we've had people suffering from mental illness, but the only problem is that we have not learned how to deal with it. So it's either the asylum, or it's either locking them up, or it's either sending them somewhere, and we have not realized the need for professional help and the need for medical help. And I know because I've also had relatives, I've also had close family that had these kind of problems, and especially young people. And the first thing that parents and relatives will first think of is always call the church people, isn't it? Call the pastor, call the father, call the priest to come and pray. Yes, prayers are needed, but at the same time I think it's the attitude of the family inside the home, the way you understand what your child really wants to be and wants to become. And most often I think a lot of these issues become even more serious to the extent of what Kevitho has just shared, a very personal account with us of the suicidal attempt. I think our youngsters are driven to such an extent when they don't have anyone they can confide in, when they are unable to be understood, when we are also, as parents, so steeped up in our image of what we want our children and our child to be, that we forget to really know what they really want to be. And therefore, this particular book, I hope, is going to be read by many of our youth. And I know it's an easy read, it's a very emotional read, but at the same time, it's a book that can be read in just an hour by young people who don't have the time to read. And I think it was with that Kevitho actually made this book, because the minute you see a fat book, you're definitely not going to waste your time. But the book is readable, very readable, and I would really encourage, especially not only the youngsters, because I know he's very social media savvy. So by now, by the time it's released, I'm sure half of his friends are really going to come over. But I think it's a book that is meant to be a guide for parents and the older generation, to understand that this is what happens to your child, this is what happens to young people, and therefore seek help. And I think we should also realize there is no shame to seek medical professional help, and we must. It helps. Prayers are there, all kinds of, other mechanisms are there, but the most important is also professional help. And this is something that we must learn, support, and I'm really proud of you, Kevitho. I knew Kevitho since the Akkaut days, yes, since the Akkaut days, and he's always been very articulate, not surprised with the kind of writing that has come up, very, very good command of English, of grammar, and a very, very readable book. He has a lot of promise, and therefore this book actually should be the beginning of many other books, okay, on many issues. I know you're patriotic, you love the Naga nation, so much of stories you can write about, the sense of humor that I've seen in you. We work together in the Global Naga Forum, and we have seen the energy, the patriotism, the kind of large-heartedness that he has. I think in the midst of the exclusiveness that Naga society is facing right now, Kevitho is someone who actually opens out his heart to Nagas beyond borders. And I think that is a learning lesson for many of our youngsters, to remember that we do have people beyond borders who are of our own blood and of our own bloodline.